gives us free. Give us free.
Your Honor, please instruct the defendant that he cannot disrupt these proceedings with such outbursts.
Give us free! Give us free!
If we are to have any semblance of order in this court,
Give us
Peace, unity, and welcome my conscious and unconscious family and friends. This is the all-new Blackvillage Community Podcast, and I am truly your host of the show, JC, aka Afro Black, dropping nothing but the raw and uncut, without any fear, as I use my mic as a spear to chucker you with liberated truth. I am your host and your native soldier in the struggle. My purpose and mission for this show is first to enlighten, inform, and engage. And I want to engage with all who claim to know the truth. All truth seekers and my native family, I welcome you. This show is dedicated to all our indigenous native ancestors and to all those who've carried the mantle of truth, and to every person with the ability to throw off the chains of comfortable habit and unwarranted assumption and move in a new, liberated direction that is guided by truth and observational evidence, no matter where that direction may lead you. My main objective and purpose here is freedom, mind, soul, and spirit. That being said, welcome to the Blackvillage Community Podcast, and much love from our great universal goddess and mother of all, living here and above.
DC in the house.
This is how we ride and roll. Soldier for life for sure.
Hey, this is JC, aka Afro Black, and you have joined me if you tuned in to the Black Village Roundtable Talks. This is my second session, my second time doing this live video, but my whole purpose of doing this live stream titled the Black Village Roundtable Talks is to bring brothers and sisters who are like-minded together to join me in a session, not a debate, not an argument, not a childish, fight or scramble or nothing like that. I got something I need to take care of right quick. But to join me in an active discussion on what we can learn from one another. That's what this is all about. It's about us coming together, learning from each other, sharing with each other, caring for one another, networking with one another. Brothers and sisters who know who they are, who know that they're culturally connected to this land. Brothers and sisters who got a history and got an oral tradition in their family. And if you don't have the oral tradition or the history, but you've done the research and you did your own family tree and you know who you are, I want us to come together and vertebrate and share our thoughts with one another. You know, many of us live across the state, in other states. Many of us live live across the water. Some of us live in Central America. Across the waters, which would be South America. But some of us live in South America, Central America. Some of us live in North America, and some of us live in some of the islands, or the Jamaican islands, or the Dominican Republic islands, or Caribbean islands. And we all are indigenous to these lands. You feel me? And so I want us to come together, and I want us to vertebrate. As a result of that, I put together a conference room. Anybody who joined me, if you dial in and you chime in at the number that you see scrolling across the screen, 857-232-0155. Again, that is 57232-0155. You can chime in and join me here at live here on the Village at the Village Conference Room, and you can join me, and you can bring what you have to say to the table. But what I want to talk about today, though, I have a special topic I want to share. I want to talk about. I want to reverberate on, and that topic is a people without a culture is a people without an ancestral past. That's the name of today. That's the topic, and that's the title of today's podcast subject matter. Again, the podcast subject matter is a people without a culture is a people without a cultural past. And the reason why I decided to title the podcast that title is because a lot of brothers and sisters here in North America, I'm not, I can't speak for Central America, or South America, because I'm not from those places. But I can speak to where I am from. I am from North America. You feel me? And as a result of me spending all my life here in North America, I see a lot of brothers and sisters who think they have a culture by claiming something that is not legal binding, claiming an identity, a byword, an artificial construct, like black, like African American. And and I've heard so many people use the term black, as like the black experience, black culture. There is no such thing as black culture, because under the term black, it does not define a culture. There is no cultural designation or a cultural tribe tied to the title or tied to the term black. So when you embrace that false identity, you make yourself null and void. You make yourself non-existent culturally. And this is the reason why I titled it A People Without a Culture is a People Without an Ancestral Past. So many brothers and sisters are holding on to this term, holding on to this artificial construct of black American, black identity, black culture, black experience, black. When the term black literally makes your identity void, null and void, non-existent, because there is no culture tied to the artificial construct black, just the same as African American, especially those who are not African. Claiming another people's identity, claiming another people's culture, claiming another people's cultural roots make you cultureless. Many brothers and sisters sitting right here in North America, more so in North America than Central and South America, are making themselves cultureless. They're disconnecting themselves from their own ancestral connection and roots to their motherland here in North America by claiming black, by claiming the artificial construct African American. And this is the reason why I personally believe that if more of us came together, not come together arguing, not coming together debating, not coming together slandering one another, not coming together threatening and name-calling each other like children, like immature, uneducated kids. That's not going to bring anything together. That's not going to awaken brothers and sisters. It's going to make us look like idiots. And as it stands right now, I see a lot of brothers and sisters attacking one another. Aboriginal brothers and sisters claiming that they're American Indian, attacking one another, attacking brother Chief Kanalago, attacking Dane Calloway, attacking Phoenix Moon, attacking Autochthonous one. I'm hearing a lot of brothers and sisters attacking one another, and it's really sickening. It's really ridiculous. It's really ignorant. But the reason why I put this together, the Black Village Roundtable Talks, is for us to come together and verse and communicate and to bridge those connections where there are disconnections and make a connection. Somebody needs to do this. Somebody. And so I put this together. You can call in. You won't be seen on the show. The only person who's seen is me. As you see, I'm on the screen. The only person who's actually seen on YouTube is me. But you will be heard. You'll hear me, I can hear you. Anybody who tune in can hear you. And you can share and make your thought and voice your thought. Voice your indigenous opinion. Voice your indigenous insight and share it. And that's what we need to do, people. We need to come together. It's time for us to come together. We should not be acting like the Pan-Africanists, arguing, debating, threatening, slandering one another. It doesn't bring unity. It doesn't bring peace. It doesn't bring awareness. It doesn't awaken nobody. It just creates a cycle that doesn't help nobody. So people, we got to wake up. So that's the reason why I put together the Black Village Round Table Talks. You got some brothers out there that got a problem and got an issue with my title. They got a problem with the fact that I use the term Black Village, even though I and they feel like I'm basically contradicting myself by explaining the fact that we should not be embracing the term black, but yes, I'm using it. We got to learn people to have a balance. As indigenous American Indians, we have to learn to have a balance, and we have to learn to use things, use terms, use words in their educated perspective. There's nothing wrong with the term black. It's the way and how we use it. It's in the perspective and how we embrace it. Number one, we shouldn't be using the term black from an uneducated perspective. Calling yourself black, embracing the term black, calling yourself Black American, calling yourself black folks, calling yourself, you erase your identity and you disconnect yourself from your true cultural identity. Now, what they've done over here in America is tied the term black to African, because I want you to know, people in Africa don't even embrace the term black. I'm gonna say it again. People in Africa do not embrace the term. They don't embrace the term black. They don't use the term black to one another in Africa. That false artificial construct is only used here in America, and it's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous that we've been. Hey, do I hear somebody in the village? Somebody's joined me in the village. This is JC Account for Black. Who's just chimed in here? Hey, brother Mohiuddin, what's happening, my brother? I'm glad to hear from you, my brother. No, you just in time, man. Just in time. I'm glad that you joined me, my brother. How was your day today? How you doing today?
How are you?
I'm hanging in there. I had to get this thing going, and I was concerned about being behind, but I got in here just in time. And the podcast topic is a people without a culture is a people without an ancestral past. You feel me? Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, sir. I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So the topic of the podcast topic is a people without a culture is a people without an ancestral past. And I was just explaining, and I would love to hear your feedback on this, my brother. I was just explaining that when we embrace artificial constructs and like the term black, like the term African American, how we literally disconnect ourselves from our ancestors. If you're literally from Africa, or if your parents or your grandparents are African and you are immigrants and you're the factor of immigrants, and you call yourself African American, that's one thing. But I was also, before you chimed in, I was explaining that in Africa, they don't use the term black. Africans don't call themselves black, not in Africa. Exactly. Many of them.
You literally have brothers and sisters over there who are speaking in click. Some of them even speak click language, and words like African is not even a part of the vocabulary.
Exactly. And so I have a video that I want to show that's going to speak to this, that's going to speak to the subject matter. Actually, the video that I want to show is of the sister that plays in Panther. I believe her name is Lupita Knight. Yes, I got a video of her, and she's talking.
Yes, sir. Yes, people are from Kenya.
Yeah. This audio cast that I'm going to play of her is speaking to the subject matter that we're talking about. Now, a people without a culture is a people without an ancestral past. And this is important for us to realize, a lot of brothers and sisters, the whole point of me I was also explaining the reason why I brought together this roundtable talk is not to argue, not to debate, but for us to learn from one another. You feel me? So anybody coming into this conference room, anybody who tuned into the Black Village, I'm letting you know right now, if you come in arguing and debating, I will mute you, and you won't hear nobody but yourself. So this is a village conference about us coming together, learning from one another, and being open-minded. So I want to play this video, and then I want to know your thoughts on what she's talking about. Okay? Okay. So I'm gonna get ready to play this right quick. Let me load this up right quick. Alrighty, so let me play this right quick, and I shall return right after this session of what we finna listen to.
Black in America. She tried to explain that actually growing up in Nigeria, skin color didn't really have any meaning. How did you understand those words?
Well, I don't think, you see, skin color and race are not necessarily mutually, they don't necessarily go hand in hand. So for me, as much as I was experiencing colorism in Kenya, I wasn't aware that I belonged to a race called Black, which I know it sounds kind of, is a complex idea, because the relationship to my skin was separate from my relationship to my race. Race is a very, very social construct, one that I didn't have to ascribe to on a daily basis growing up. So regardless of the fact that I was very much the victim of colorism. So I think this is the thing about the relationship between race and colorism, is that they're related, but one of them moved farther away from the other, and sometimes we forget how they're related. So I experienced a very similar thing to Chimamanda when I came to the US, because suddenly the term Black was being ascribed to me, and it meant certain things that I was not accustomed to, you know. In Kenya, my identity was built more on my gender, my tribe, and my complexion, but that doesn't necessarily automatically equal a racial understanding of oneself.
Excellent. Yes, sir. Absolutely. I perfectly agree. You know, again, you know, the biggest struggle here is with Indigenous people is living by modern standards. And that's the biggest problem, you know, because, again, like we were discussing last week, you know, when you and I was having a one-on-one talk, and, you know, again, us being the oldest people, us being the original people, us being the people who have occupied the planet longer than really anybody else, we just have to get that back. That's just my point, you know. We just have to get all of that back. And again, these modern standards have been imposed on us in such a way that we have just forgotten. We have literally forgotten who we are. So maybe, you know, we could just start the conversation off like that. You know?
And you're so right. You're right. Many of us have not only forgotten, many of us don't want to know. You got those who are working in career professions, those in politics, those in Hollywood, those in the athletic world. Because of the money that they're making, they're not willing to put anything at risk for that green cotton. You feel me?
Let me tell you something. Along with forgetting, another reality behind that is that we're also dealing with an oppressive system that is also making it their business so that we don't know. And see, I was just having a discussion earlier with a friend of mine who wasn't even aware that that there are people of dark hue, you know, people of our color who inhabited areas like Puerto Rico, islands like Puerto Rico today. So and a lot of this has a lot to do with us being in our little corner of the world and not knowing anything about the world around us. You know, that is another issue here. We are not a cultured people because we have not been exposed enough to the information that is around us. And so that, you know, that's a big issue as well. Not being a cultured people, not having the opportunity to just be exposed to enough information. But, you know, slowly but surely, it's coming back. It's definitely coming back. More awareness is coming to it.
What you just said is so true. When you got the lack of information being taught in a country like ours, you know, the truth is not being taught on television, is not being taught in schools. Anything you get in the media is going to be partial, and it's going to be impartial or partial. It's not going to be. You're not going to get the totality of the truth. As a result of that, and as a result of us being basically a stationary people, and I'll have to admit that even myself, I haven't left outside my country. I've been out of my state. I've been to a different number of states.
We're institutionalized, you know, on a lot of levels. We're institutionalized. That is something that we suffer from. Institutionalized racism is apparent, and that is something that is a study within itself that more of our people need to get in tune to, understanding what institutionalized racism is, you know. But go ahead, brother. I just wanted to just add on.
What you just said, what you just said is real talk. That's another form of institutionalized racism and white supremacy. When you got a people, when you got the majority of those who they deem the minority, living under a poverty level that doesn't allow them to explore outside their country. I mean,
isn't that something? And listen to that, brother JC. It's like just to add on to that, so other listeners can understand. It's a minority. Listen, that is another misnomer, just like African American minority. We're not the minority.
No, we're not.
We're the majority of the people on the planet.
Real talk.
You know what I'm saying? When you go outside and you look at, like right now, like I said, you know, I live in the country, so I'm amongst nature. I can look outside and see nothing but color. That is what humanity is primarily based off of. You see nothing but color. So the real minority are the ones that's calling people minority.
Real talk.
That's the real minority.
Real talk.
You know?
That's true. That's true. And they got everybody else they got under a spell.
Yes, sir.
I mean, under a spell. I mean, that's another thing. It's really important. I was saying earlier before you chimed in. I was saying earlier that I bumped into brothers and sisters who have a problem with the title of my podcast. And the title of my forum, The Black Village. And now, I was explaining to brothers and sisters that there's nothing wrong with the word black. It's the uneducated way that we use it. It's the uneducated and unintelligent way to apply it to yourself as an identity, and to use it as if it's a culture. There is no culture in the term black. There is no designated tribe, no designated people, no designated locality under the term black. So when you got people talking about the black experience or the black culture or black history, it's a misnomer. And you basically make yourself, you disconnect yourself from your people.
Yes, sir. It's a colloquial term. You know, it's definitely a colloquial term that has to be used in the proper context. You know, when I use terminologies like black, or even if I use a terminology like brown, I'm basically denoting just a few things, you know, when it comes down to genetics or genotype and phenotype or genes, you know, within your body, you know, why we look the way that we look, and, you know, that's a whole topic within itself. But at the same time, what does need to just be understood by certain people, we can use it in a colloquial sense, and it just ends there. It doesn't go into the context. We have tribes that we do come from. We have tribes, we have clans, we have ethnic groups, you know. Some of us are Gullah Geechee, some of us are Lenape, you know. Some of us are Saponi, some of us are Seminole, you know, some of us are many different things. And that's something that just needs to be, understood.
And that's where the term, cultural appropriation, or some people call it cultural misappropriation, where another people take elements or adopt elements of your culture into theirs, which has happened in this country as a result of a mass group of people, so-called, which they've labeled everything but who they are. A mass group of people who they've labeled black, who they've labeled Negro, who they've labeled all these other bywords. As a result, another people have taken our culture, and now you got people thinking that only American Indians look a certain way.
And that's one of the reasons why we definitely have to, we're putting up a good fight. We have to constantly keep pushing this indigenous and aboriginal information, because that is something that more children walking around, and not even children, even adults, because a lot of adults, of course, are misinformed just as much. They have to first know these terms that we're using. They have to know what indigenous is and what it means, what aboriginal is and what it means. Or even just from the historical standpoint, what an American Indian is, was, still is, what it means, And so those are certain terminologies that have to start, being used in the everyday vocabulary of our people. And it's just going to take some time to really push that. Mm-hmm.
That is very true. That is very true. And that's what it's going to take. It's going to take determination. It's going to take perseverance on our half. On our half of us not giving up, not only on ourselves, but basically on us as a people. And that's why I appreciate brothers like you. You said you were gonna. You said you gonna come, and you came, my brother, and I appreciate you coming. So I really appreciate. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's all. Like I say, we cousins. So we got a fight to put up. I'm serious, man. We got a fight to put up.
Real talk.
We definitely got a fight to put up.
Real talk.
What I'm saying? You on the opposite side of the country, but we still in the same country. We still dealing with the same ancestry, and we dealing with the same denationalization, unfortunately. And like I said, we got a fight to put up. You know what I'm saying? We got some hands to throw out here.
There you go. Hey, I got my talking stick. I want everybody to know. This is an indigenous talking stick. I call this is the round table talks. Okay, so I had to have my talking stick. Now, the whole point of the talking stick, my brother, is that we're gonna have a conversation. The person who's starting the conversation, which is the moderator, which is me, got to have a talking stick, my brother. Got to have a talking. And this talking stick right here is an official talking stick that was made by a Cherokee brother by the name of Wetfoot. I bought this from Brother Wetfoot. This came from a reservation of Cherokee brothers and sisters, and who put this together, and I paid this for Brother Wetfoot. Thank you, Brother Wetfoot, for my talking stick. So
big up to him. Yes, sir.
Real talk. So I encourage all brothers and sisters to get your traditional talking stick. You feel me? Get your and you know what? Talking about the talking stick. Speaking about the talking stick, and I was doing some research on it. And seeing that you had many different tribes that had their version or tradition of the talking stick, but regardless of the version or tradition via the tribe, they all had a commonality, and that commonality was the fact that the purpose of the talking stick was to bring order. Doesn't matter if it's the family, the council, or the whole community, to bring order so that everybody can communicate. And the first thing that came to my mind was the fact that, look, I'm born and raised in what is called a so-called black family. And I can recall Negroes not being able to talk because everybody want to talk. You got too many chiefs and not enough Indians. So I said, damn, I know damn well an indigenous grandma said, I am tired of these Negroes. Look, this is how we're gonna do it. This is how we're gonna do it. You Negroes sit down.
And that is definitely, that's definitely something that we're dealing with in the day and age. We have to, and we've seen that already. Don't even have to mention names. We've seen that already with the conscious community.
Yeah.
People trying to play leader at the same time. you know, and not understanding the fact that we at this particular time are not trying, we don't need to be romanticizing anything. We just need to be building families.
Real talk.
Building families.
Yes.
That's it. Not even holding hands, just walking together and working together. You know, that's just how this goes. Too much competition goes on amongst our people, and you know that's the downfall of colonialism. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Competition.
That's true.
It's like Charles Darwin has came in and just inserted his ideology in it when it comes to just natural selection, not natural selection, the survival of the fittest. We never lived by that code. You know?
Real
we
talk.
never lived by that. We live by the code of peace as a people.
And you know what? The sad thing about it, though, speaking of peace and people,
Yes, sir.
you have a lot of Indians, and I don't want to use the term Indians for these people. I rather use the term a lot of Negroes because they're not acting like Indians. And if you don't know who you are and you're not embracing who you are, then you're a nigga. You're a Negro. You have a lot of Negroes who have embraced the mindset of chaos and confrontation. And that's another reason why we cannot come together. We got too many niggas, like we talking about niggas who want to be chiefs. Too many niggas who want to be chiefs, not willing to sit down and not willing to sit down and listen. But we also got too many Negroes, and that's what they are. Because if you want to be an Aborigine, if you want to embrace who you are, then you have to embrace the customs and traditions of American Indian concept, which is being a peaceful individual. You got a lot of Negroes who are not peaceful because they're too chaotic. You feel me?
Yeah, and you know, like I said, it's hard, brother. You know what I'm saying? It's very hard with our people when it comes down to transitioning ourselves back to our original mindset. You know, a lot of people joke around and play around with this information, but it's a tough cookie to crack. It really is, because you know, everything has been taken from you. Everything, all the way down to your original language, your original cultural customs, your mindset, the food that we eat, everything. You know, and like I say, you're literally going. It's almost like we're doing some gene altering here. It's like we have to really go in and transition ourselves back to that original way of life. You know, like when we go back and we read about some of the earlier Europeans that came here to mainland North America, and they talk about the encounters that they had with these chiefs. You know, listen to the way that they describe some of these people. Like when they went and saw, give you an example, when the white man first saw Chief Tuscaloosa, for example, you know. It's listen to the description of how they describe what this man looked like. You know, they described him as magnificent. You know what I'm saying? They were intimidated by him, which they're still intimidated by us today, you know, but most of us don't realize that. You know, we live in a society today where, you know, the ones that are oppressing us, we don't realize that they are intimidated by us. So, you know, we rather play games and we rather intimidate each other. But I'm just talking about, think about the frequency, think about the energy that Europeans the energy that they came in contact with when they first saw our ancestors.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Our ancestors, when they first came in contact with our ancestors, just imagine how intimidated they were when they first saw them. Just imagine. And you already know that they were a very intuitive people, just like we are today, and I'm sure that their intuition probably was a lot stronger than ours because they had the original mind. A lot of us don't. So they knew what we were up against. They knew what they were up against when they first saw whoever came up off that boat. They knew.
And that's true.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's true. Oh, well, that's true. When you read the information, when you do the research and you read the information, they knew, a lot of them knew what was going on over here before they got here. They were shocked and surprised when they got here and saw what they saw. When you read the accounts of when you read the accounts of the Spanish, and they talk about how the beauty of the pyramids, the beauty of the artwork, the beauty and the cleanliness of the people, and the variety of foods and artwork, and I mean, yes, I'm pretty sure they were definitely positively, absolutely.
It's so much to think about. Like I said, when you put a lot of thought into it, brother, it's like it's so much to think about. I mean, to be honest with you, even right now to this day, like you have indigenous people For example, I don't know how true this is. I don't like to, repeat a lot of the information that I do come across, especially if I'm not 100% sure. But I know that there are indigenous people. They're considered so-called Negroes. They stand really small people. They live in the islands off the coast of South India. They call them the Andaman Islands. And they have these little people. According to what we're getting in mainstream information, their population is under attack. They're considered to be a people who are about to be extinct, supposedly. I don't know how true that is, but some of those indigenous peoples over there never seen a European a day in their lives. Never. Never seen one. Some of them probably don't even have a name for it inside of their vocabulary for a person that was called white or European. And I'm just thinking about that in the context of how we had ancestors right here on mainland North America. At one point, there was a time they ain't never seen a European a day in their life, ever. Until a certain time.
Yeah. And
just imagine what they felt like when they first came in contact with other groups of people. Just imagine, it's just putting, just throwing out some thoughts out there for people to kind of understand, just to get you kind of back to understanding where we come from and how our thought forms have changed over time.
Well, when you talk about imagine, and you know what? The first thing that came to my mind, so I could actually try to imagine what you were talking about. Have you seen the movie called Reverend?
Reverend. I'm not familiar with that.
What's his name? Leonardo DiCaprio plays in it.
Okay.
Well,
elaborate on that for me.
Okay, in the movie, all right. He's a colonizer. He's a European colonizer, and they're colonizing a part of America where it's inhabited by indigenous Indians. The first thing, now when they came in and they was taking and raping these women and taking food and all this, and them Indians came back with a vengeance. They came back in with a vengeance. When I say a vengeance, they were in the trees, at the very top of the trees, shooting arrows from the top of the trees, shooting at the white men down. So everywhere these white folks went, they were being pommeled with arrows. Everywhere they turned, they were being pommeled with so many arrows. They didn't have time enough to fill their guns with gunpowder and the little balls. They're trying to fill the gun. They didn't have time. They were being pummeled with arrows. So, like you say, when you talk about our people coming into contact with the white man, it definitely depends on what time, who it was, and the type of encounter, because you had some that came in raping and taking, some came in with a devilish smile and with their hand behind their back. Either way it go, the European was being a devil. You feel me?
And I don't really want to understand the direction that I'm going at with this. I just want to clarify one thing. I'm not saying that Aboriginal people didn't have different treatment for the advent of Europeans. That's not what I'm disagreement always exists. Disagreement is, that is what promotes growth.
Yeah.
Even some of our out here who have that obsession with ancient Kemet, you can go back into on the Temple walls, and then a lot of our Pan-African brothers don't like to talk about it. You can go on the Temple walls over in Egypt, find Egyptians on the war with the Nubians, but they were supposed to be the same race, though. So, there were disagreements, but there is a huge difference between disagreement versus trauma. Big difference, especially when it is long, drawn-out trauma. What we have experienced as a people is something called oppression. We've fallen under the hands of a parasitic culture. So that's something that is, that's a different phenomenon, and that is something that only a people of a certain type of genetics really can engage in. Just to clarify.
But getting back to the point and the concept of the podcast topic, which is a people without a culture, is a people without an ancestral past. Speaking to that, still speaks to the fact that what you were talking about, if we had the mindset of our people back then versus how the fact today, we got so many brothers and sisters with the mindset of trying to survive, the mindset of trying to get ahead, the mindset of trying to go to school and get an education to get ahead. I mean, the white man got us literally under a mindset of a slave mindset, where you can't see no way other than paying your bills, driving a nice car, and getting a paycheck or living from paycheck to paycheck. You feel me? So I definitely agree that we need to come together, bring our thoughts together, bring our information together, bring our research together as a people, and and share with one another. And that's what that's what we're doing right now, my brother. We're doing right now. Hey, I got another an audio cast that I want to play before I go off the air, and I want you to hear this. And I want you to hear this because it's speaking to what we're talking about. Which is a people without a culture is a people without an ancestral past. Because when you embrace somebody else's culture, when you embrace somebody else's identity, or when you embrace a false identity or a false cultural concept that you think is an identity, you basically disconnect yourself from your people. I want you to see this, because I thought this was really important. When I saw this caught my attention. I was like, whoa, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. So I want to show this right quick. And I want you to tell me what you think about this. So let me turn to this right quick, and we shall return.
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Why is it not playing now?
Marcus Garvey said it best. A people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots.
I know a lot of people take issue with my beliefs. I'm white. I'm a Caucasian because everything about me is different from an African American. I have naturally straight hair. My hair isn't nappy. It doesn't require weave. My nose is not giant as like African Americans. My lips are perfect. They're not too big and they're not too small. They're just perfect. My ears, I don't have black people ears because they're really giant. Most African Americans speak ghetto, but when it comes to black people, I think they're all ugly and I have nothing in common with them. I'm different from African Americans because I'm white. My figure is just like Kim Kardashian, and she's a wonderful role model. I act and I think like a white person instead of a black person. I believe that I'm completely and utterly better than them. Like, we're on two different levels. Like, okay, African Americans are here, I'm here. White people act and think just way more mature than African Americans. Black people, they think in a criminal way. When I think about African Americans, I feel like asking them, what is wrong with them? They're really dangerous. If an African American is on the same street as I am, I'll cross the street to avoid their chaotic, thuggish ways.
Are you okay?
I'm irritated.
I'm sorry.
I just know that I'm white. I mean, she might not know that I'm white, but I know that I'm white. I can feel it through my veins. I feel it through my blood. I tell my mom I'll never be like any of those Negroes. My mom tries to criticize me about my supposed race. I tell her she's just ignorant. There's nothing wrong with my views or beliefs because I have freedom of speech and everything I'm saying is true.
Okay, Treasure.
Boy, oh boy, brother, you getting down. You are getting down. And let me tell you something now that, again, we're dealing with institutionalized racism once more. We are dealing with stereotypes now. Stereotypes. Complete stereotypes. And then first off, one thing that I will speak on, I would like to know now how, and a lot of people suffer from this. We even have people who have been woke for over 20 years and still suffer from this. Now, someone just defined being indigenous, black, or aboriginal off of the size of someone's ears, literally. And so now, again, there goes again, moving right back into European standards that have again been imposed on the global aboriginal collective. Once more.
Real talk.
And even down to hair. Now, hair, speech patterns. Do you know, let me tell you something. I was just having a discussion like this not too long ago. I was letting a few of my friends, I was like, you know something that I've noticed over time, and this is something that, again, more of our people should understand and consider, because I've heard even a few people inside of our conscious community, I've heard certain people say that, well, you know, English is not the language that our people should be speaking. Well, I would say that's somewhat correct. And some of them would say, you know, when you hear certain blacks, so-called blacks that have a speech impediment or whatever, or the ones that can't articulate English as well as others, that, oh, that's because they can't. Some of them would say, oh, that's because they can't. They're not supposed to, or they can't speak English. They're not supposed to speak it. They're not meant to speak it. Do you know, brother, do you know you have people who look just like us who speak English better than Europeans? Literally.
What?
Literally.
Are you kidding?
Literally. Like, and this is something that a lot of our people forget to consider. They always use people of our ancestry to narrate different shows. I mean, how many times have you heard Morgan Freeman narrate on television, and he speaks English better than the average white person?
That's true.
James Earl Jones speaks English better than the average white person. Literally. And this is the reason why I say that we have to update our information. Honestly, we have to go in and we have to tear down stereotypes. Stereotype is toxic to the human body. Honestly, it really is. It really is. But I'm gonna let you elaborate. I just wanted to throw that out just to start it off. You know?
I love the way you started off too. I love the way you started off because obviously when you saw and heard this video, you probably seen it before. It captivated your attention and a lot of things came to your mind. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing came to my mind.
Yes,
is this young lady says she's white. She says she's white. Now, if you actually put it in perspective, according to the way the white man wrote his laws and wrote laws to actually create a caste system between American Indians, separating the light-skinned Indian from the brown and dark-skinned Indian, then you can see why she would say she's white. They are at one time in this country, and those laws are still sitting on the law books right now. I'm gonna have to share this information on another podcast. I got the book. The book is titled "Making Indians White" by Gregory Blavinsky, the guy who wrote the book. The book is titled "Making Indians White." In the book, he tells you that in the 16th and the 17th century, the white man literally made laws making light-skinned Indians white. Making light-skinned, if you was a light-skinned Indian with straight hair, you was considered white. Now, if you was a dark-skinned Indian, didn't matter what your hair looked like. If you was a dark-skinned Indian, you was considered a Negro or black. And so, you're right. We've been pinned and we've been brainwashed with stereotypes and artificial constructs.
And you know, let me hit you with something real quick, just for the listeners out there. I just want to throw this out. Let me ask you something, bro. Are you familiar with the term? You may have seen it in like some of the current anthropology that we study. Are you familiar with the term called Aquiline? Like, as in when someone says you have an Aquiline, or that person has an Aquiline nose.
Yes.
Right? Right. I put some information out not too long ago on that. And again, it shows right there, you know, so many of the misconceptions and a lot of the terminologies that a lot of people are using today. If you actually go into the real history behind what the term Aquiline actually meant, Aquiline actually means resembling a bird, or it means resembling like an eagle or a hawk in particular, okay? And if anybody could do this while they're listening, you can actually go online and look up the etymology of the word Aquiline, which again, you know that is a terminology that white supremacists have always used to refer to so-called European or Caucasian features to their definition. But the definition became flipped, or the connotation became flipped later on. If you actually go and look up the etymology of the word Aquiline, it actually means black. It means black, and it also means swarthy. And it means, it means black, and it also means swarthy. That's actually what it means, if you go and look it up. Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm gonna research that, because I assumed that I assumed the term was a European term that meant a person with a European features or European phenotype.
But here's the thing: where the bird reference comes in, it means It means black and it means swarthy, but in fact, where the bird reference came in, if you go deeper into the whole bird reference, it goes back to a word called aquila, which deals with constellations, it deals with astronomy and stuff like that. And it's actually, what I have found basically through some of my research is that it is relative to the feather culture, meaning when Europeans came in contact with the various Aboriginal people, and of course, you know, our ancestors wore feathers. Yes. We wore the feathered headdress. We wore all of these, you know, all of these things. This was a part of our tribal culture, and that's actually what the term Aquiline originally means. It refers to the Aboriginal chief, the one who wore the feathered headdress.
Okay.
That's what it means. That's why you find the definition also meaning black, swarthy, dark. It means all of that. Yes, sir. Just to throw that out there, just for anybody. Just to prick people's brains. Yeah.
Look. That's what this is all about. That's what I'm talking about. You bring in information, something I didn't know, something I didn't know, something I'm pretty sure somebody else did not know, and you just educated another brother. You educated me. I know that much. I did not know this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Likewise. Yes, sir.
That's what the round table is all about. That's what the Black Village round table is all about. Now, I also want to bring in, I want to make reference to the fact, again, I talked about how you got brothers and sisters who have a problem with me using the term the Black Village. The term the Black Village, I use the term the Black Village, and I want to make this known for a couple of reasons. Number one, okay, the term the Black Village does not represent us as a people per se, our culture, or our national origin, or our tribal affiliation. I chose the term black for two reasons mainly. One reason, the term black by the etymology of the word means transparent, clear. Something that you cannot see through because it's transparent, or you can see through it to the other side. So, transparent, clear, all right? Not dark. The etymology of the word black does not mean dark. And that's where we've been flipped at. We've been flipped, and they've told us that it means dark, and they've made it mean that because if you actually look up how the Webster Dictionary formulate their dictionary, they do things by how popular the word is, and by that they introduce the word into our language. So it can be an uneducated word. They'll make the word educated by definition in their language just to brainwash us, and we'll have to go learn the true meaning by researching it ourselves. So when I looked up the definition of black, it means transparent. Our people were clear and transparent by metaphoric definition. So I use the word metaphorically. I don't use the word literally to describe us as a people. So it's called the Black Village by labeling my podcast, not labeling us as a people. Because I tell people, look, my nickname is Black Bones on the internet, but I don't have black bones. But I chose the name Black Bones by metaphoric definition, as a metaphor, not literally. You feel me? I read an article about a brother who was a Cree chief. He was a Cree chief, and his name was Red Dog. This article I read about, it was in 1929 when he gave this interview. And the man, he was a Cree chief. His name was Red Dog, but he was darker. He was a very dark Indian. He was darker than me. He was a very dark brother. He was darker than you, my brother. This brother was very dark skinned, but his name was Red Dog. So I would love to ask any brother who has a problem with metaphors, understanding that how you're using it, why you're using the terminology. Then I guess Indians shouldn't call themselves Red Dog or Silver Wolf or Buffalo or none of that.
Yeah, a lot of people forget the fact that we've always been a people of symbolism. Always.
There you go.
Always.
Exactly. We've always been a people of symbols, and symbols are used for a number of reasons. Metaphors, designations, identifications. But either way it goes, we use symbols. It was a part of our culture.
Nature. That's all it is.
Exactly. It was a part of our nature. But today you got a lot of, like I say, they're using the term black from an uneducated perspective, and as a result, you got a lot of brothers who are Aboriginal brothers who are literally so abhorrent to the term black that they don't even want you using the word at all. And I don't agree with that. As long as you use it in an educated way, I don't see nothing wrong with using it. But to use it in the
it definitely, I would say this, brother, it definitely comes with the territory on that one. What I try to get anyone, that I deal with, especially in my close social circle, when it comes to these terminologies, again, it's not so much as just identifying the term, but you just have to understand the usage historically. So we're forgetting that when you came in contact with Powhatan, they described him and his tribe of him black. He looked black, by their definition. So that still has to be qualified because, of course, we know that the chief was not tan. He was not peach tone or anything like that. You got to deal with the genetics there. He was described as somebody probably looking like the late Michael Clark Duncan or something. So, So we still got to qualify that because we dealing with something of our ancestry. You know what I'm saying? So it comes with the territory with those terms. We got to understand the usage of it and how it does apply to us historically, at least.
Real talk. Exactly.
Yes,
I also want to throw in there that last video that I just showed. If you saw the beginning of it, it says that it used a quote by so-called, that's a reference that was so-called given to accredited to Marcus Garvey, that a tree without roots is a tree without roots is how did that reference go? Let me play it again.
People without a knowledge of their past is like a tree without roots. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Said it best. A people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots.
Now, what I wanted to say about that, Marcus Garvey actually did not coin that term. Okay, I got some information right here. Actually, the term was coined by a man named Charles Seffert, S-E-I-F-E-R-T, Charles Seffert. It said a race without the knowledge of its history is like a tree without roots. Though often attributed to Garvey, the statement first appears in Charles Seffert's 1938 pamphlet, The Negroes of Ethiopian Contributions to Art. That's where the term came from. Now, to this day, you got Pan-Africans using that term as if Marcus Garvey coined that term. And it was not coined by him. It was coined by an indigenous brother named Charles Seffert.
Wow.
So I just had to throw that in there. Again, if you want to research it yourself, anybody want to research this, his name is Charles Seffert, S-I-E-F-E-R-T. S-I-E-F-E-R-T, Seffert. And the pamphlet, he wrote it in 1938, titled The Negroes Are Ethiopian Contributions to Art. That's the name of the pamphlet. The Negroes are Ethiopian contributions to art, and that they've attributed and credited a reference to Marcus Garvey that he never even wrote, and if he did, he stole it. So I just had to throw that in there. The brother.
Absolutely.
On that note, what time is it, my brother? It's almost time for me to head out of here. But I appreciate indigenous brothers who are men of their words. You said you was going to join me. You came in and you joined me. So,
Brother JC, look, I enjoyed every moment of it. It was definitely an enlightening experience on so many different levels. Absolutely. And like I said, I can't wait till we do it again. Like I said, until next time, because I know it's going to get better every time. I know it will.
It's going to get better every time.
Thank you so much.
I'm trying to get used to this myself. This is new. This is the first time I've ever did a live video cast, so I'm getting used to it. I'm still learning software and a lot of other things that I want to do. But I really appreciate you joining me. And Brother,
I appreciate you as well. Like I said, I appreciate the invite. Like I said, it's a pleasure. Always, it's a pleasure now, and it always will be. Yes, sir.
So I will be on not not this coming Sunday, but the Sunday after. So I'll be doing a podcast, a live podcast every other Sunday, and I'll definitely keep you on update on what's going on and when I got it going on, my brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you have a good evening.
You too. Other than that, I'm getting ready to end this podcast. I appreciate anybody who tuned in. If you didn't come in the conference room, like brother, like my brother, my indigenous aboriginal brother. Let me get his name right. Brother
Mohayedin. Brother Mohayedin.
Mohayedin. I love your name. I love it. It sounds like power.
Thank you so much.
For real. When I hear you talk,
sir.
when I hear you speak it sounds like power. I love that.
Frequency, vibration.
Yes, sir.
Vibration.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I'm gonna get on out of here, brother. Go ahead and finish wrapping up. I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here again. Until next time. Thank you
I appreciate
again for the
my
invite.
brother. I appreciate you. Until next time. Much love. Peace.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody can tune in and chime in. It doesn't cost you a dime. Just a bit of your conscious time to chime in and join me here at the Blackvillage Roundtable Talks. I'll be doing this every other Sunday. I'm looking at the wrong screen. My bad. Looking at that screen. I should be looking at this screen. So I'll be every other Sunday. So I will be not next Sunday, but the Sunday after next, I will definitely be posting an events page. So when I be putting up another podcast, but this podcast topic was a good one. I enjoyed it. Vibing with brother Mohayedin. We had a good conference, man. We were just vibing. We were just vibrating on cultural truth. You feel me? How we've been robbed of our culture, and that's the thing. Most so-called indigenous Negroes, most so-called black folks, so-called Negroes who call themselves Black American, African, don't realize the vital thing that's been taken from us. Being raised, being groomed, all your life knowing who you are, knowing the traditions, the customs, the practices, the language, the festivities of your people. This is the reason why, if you paid attention to the video cast that I played with the sister name, what's her name again? That sister name of Lupita Nyong'o. I came from the sister who played in Panther, and she mentioned how in her country where she was raised at in Africa, they don't go by the designation black. They go by their tribal name, your tribal designation. You feel me? Only here in North America, only here in the USA, it don't matter to Negroes. And that's the reason why that term has been applied to us as Negroes. Because the term Negro is not a tribe. The term Negro is not a cultural affiliation. You feel me? It literally disconnects you from your people. If you an African, Africans don't embrace the term Negro. It was never even designated to them by Europeans anyway. The term Negro was designated to American Indians. The ones today that are called black. The ones today that are called Black American and African American. That's who the term Negro was given to when the Europeans came into contact with indigenous American Aborigines. People, we gotta realize the truth. When the white man came here, there were two groups of people here. And those two groups of people, one was the Mongoloid Native American, and the other was the American Aborigine, aka, well, I'm gonna say American Indian. Exactly. You feel me? And so that's what the village is all about. And that's all about culture. The very thing that most people don't care about. Culture. The very thing that most American Negroes don't give a damn about. Culture. And that's what's been robbed of us. That's the reason why some of us are chaotic, some of us are educated, some of us have given ourselves to the military. We've given ourselves to everything but who we are. Our ancestral self, our ancestral indigenous American Aboriginal family. Now it's time for us to wake up. You feel me, people? And that's me. That's what I'm doing my part to help wake up my brothers and sisters. I'm not trying to argue, fight with nobody. I'm not trying to start mess, name call, none of that mess. A lot of these people who call themselves American Aborigines, and they're not. They're Negroes. Because American Aborigines aka American Indians, we don't fight amongst ourselves. And all that stuff, that propaganda that the white man has spread, that when he got over here, Indians were fighting with each other, that's bull hoggy. I don't accept that. That's not true. You had some tribes that didn't get along, but you know what? We didn't kill each other. We didn't fight and kill each other like what was going on today. That's because of European contact. That's because of European influence. And these white folks today who don't want to call themselves Europeans, you are. You're descendants of Europeans, making yourself immigrants in another man's, another woman, another people's country. So on that note, I gotta go, people. I will definitely be back, and I'll definitely be indigenous, dropping nothing but the raw and uncut here on the Black Village Roundtable Talks. You can chime in anytime when I'm doing a live session. Won't cost you a dime, just a bit of your conscious time. You can chime in at 857-232-0155. Again, that is 857-232-0155. You can see it right here scrolling across the screen, and you can chime in. You need the conference key to get the conference. Sit with me at the conscious table of two, dropping nothing raw and uncut indigenous truth. You feel me? You can chime in at that conference code is 947595. You need that conference key to get in. After you put in the number, you need the conference key, which is 947595. Other than that, I gotta go. I'll definitely be back, and I invite all my brothers and sisters. You can also catch me on Facebook, you feel me, at www.facebook.com/The Black Village. You feel me? You can also find me at my events page, which is www.facebook.com/The Black Village Roundtable Talks. You can find my events page right there. Again, that's www.facebook.com/The Black Village Roundtable Talks. You can find me there. Drop me a message. You feel me? Drop me a message. Get at me. I want my brothers and sisters to join me here at the Roundtable Talks. Not for a debate, for a discussion. But we can share and shine on one another. You feel me? So we can learn and grow together as indigenous aborigines. You feel me? That's what it's all about here at the Black Village Roundtable Talks. And until the week after next, I gotta go. As always, I love chicken, so love, peace, and chicken grease. People, I gotta go. I'm out of here.